Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Nedarim daf Chavav. We are going to begin on the very top of Chavav with Aleph, very top line. So this is going back with the words Rabbi Omer to the Mishnah all the way on the previous Amud, which discussed what exactly are Nidrish Gagos. So the Mishnah, at the end of the Mishnah, talked about the following situation. If a person saw someone eating figs, and they're from far away, so he didn't know exactly who these people were, and he made the statement, he said, Harleichem carbon. So he made a neder on them. They're going to be usher to him. And it turns out that in that group of people eating them was his father, his brother, as well as other people. So we have a machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel in our Mishnah. Beis Shammai said that the family members are mutter, because this is considered to be nidrish gagos. He was shagag regarding his family at the time of the neder, because he had no problem with them eating the figs. Apparently, Beis Shammai does not hold of the concept of neder shehuter miksas or huter kulo, that once part of the neder doesn't work, so the whole thing gets thrown out. Because Beis Shammai says that the other people, it is chal. Beis Hillel, that's Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel says no el ve'el mutarim, that once we hold it's considered a case of nidrish gagos by the family members, so to everyone else. So in this we saw the Gemara also in yesterday's daf regarding a person who makes a statement that they're not going to eat all year. Now within that year is Shabbos and Yom Tov. A person is not allowed to fast on Shabbos and Yom Tov unless it's like a Tanis Chalom. So because of that, a person could have a Pesach to have the Shabbos and Yom Tov removed, because he certainly would not have had in mind Shabbos and Yom Tov as part of this statement. So in this, according to the Tanakama, the Chachamim hold that it only removes Shabbos and Yom Tov, but nothing else, because apparently the Chachamim do not hold of this concept of Hutter Miksasus Hutter Kulo, like Beis Shammai. Rabbi Akiva says no. Rabbi Akiva says that just as Shabbos and Yom Tov was a Pesach and that's removed, so too all the other days as well, because of this concept of Hutter Miksasu Hutter Kulo. So we saw the sheet of Rabbi yesterday that said in a situation where the father would have been clearly excluded in the language of Kulchem Asur Chutz Ma'aba, as the Ran explains, the father was never included in this neder, so then even Beis Hillel will agree that in this situation, everyone else will actually be usher. Of course, the father's mutter. That's nidrish gagos. But the whole question is, how about everyone else? So in that situation, everyone would hold, even Beis Hillel, that this neder does work, because the father was really not part of the neder. The problem is, what happens if he made a specific neder for each person? For example, ploni asurin ve'aba mutter. So in that situation, do we say that it's considered to be like one language of a neder, and therefore everyone else is just like the father is canceled, so to everyone else, or not? Now, as we begin this short daf, Rabbi Omer, Dekoli Alma Kol Heicha Di Omer, any situation where a person would say, quote, if I would have known that my father was among these people, then I would have said, had I known that my father was among those eating the figs, ploni uploni asurin va'aba mutter. I would have specified the individuals. So in that situation, kul mutar. According to this, unlike Rabbi says that's actually the machlokas. However, according to Rabbi, he says no. In that situation, kul mutarin. Also in that situation, in that case, also everyone would hold that they are completely mutter. So according to Rava, even if he changed the lashon rishon, there is an error in the lashon of the neder, and therefore Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree this concept of hutter miksas or hutter kulam. So therefore, once the father is excluded, everyone else is excluded. Well, nechachu, they don't argue ela b'omer only in the following case. If I knew my father was with them, I would have said, Kulchem asurim, that all of you are asur chutz ma'aba. So in this situation, the question that we're going to understand is, do we say that this is considered to be tois, a mistake in the ikr haneder? It's going to be totally on whether you're tafas lashon rishon, tafas lashon sheni, as we'll see in a second. Beis Shammai savar l'karab meir, di'er b'tafas lashon rishon. Beis Shammai says we go after the first language. Beis Hillel savar l'karab yosi, di'er b'gemar devarav adam nitvos. You go after the latter language. So what exactly is this famous machlokas, which we'll see in the Ran in a second, Masechtas Tamura? Before we do that, look at this Ran. Rava oimer kol moedim. The sphirule lo Rava, that according to Rabbi holds the Beis Shammai nami moida to kol hecha the shaykh lamemer huter miksaso huter nami kuloi. Beis Shammai actually does hold that there is this concept of huter miksaso huter kulo, but he just may not extend it in all circumstances. But in the case where a person would have said, had I known my father was there, ploni uploni asurin va'aba mutter, then even Beis Shammai would say that kul mutarim. So what is this machlokus if a person says instead kulchem asurin chutz ma'aba? So let's look at the Ran. The Ran says, quoting the Gemara in Tamura, Gabe harizet timuras oila v'chaz v'omer harizet timuras shlomim. So a person makes a Tamura, switching the status of one animal to the next, which the din is that does work, that the second animal is kodesh. However, the first one retains its kedusha. Now, what if a person says that this is a timuras oila, and then he says timuras shlomim? Of course, we know that these are totally different animals and sacrifices. An oil is kulat kol, is completely burnt on the mizbech, and a shlomim is not, and it's eaten by the kohanim, the owner. So he made this statement, first of all saying ola, and then he said timuras shlomim, so tafas lashon rishon. So according to the shita of Rabbi Meir, and this is employed in many other places, he goes after the first statement you said. The first thing you said is what matters. That you say it's an ola. Why? The harihi timuras oila. The ein ba shlomim klal. It's not a shlomim at all, and therefore the din is it has the kedusha of a carbon oila. Therefore, it can be brought as an oil. Rabbi Yosi really the harizu timuras shlomim. That fact that you said shlomim afterwards should be gemar devar of adam nitvas. We go after the completion of your words. We go after the second thing. So why did you change your mind? Toichadei dibor. It must be because that's actually the mindset you had. Beis Shammai several Rab Meir. So Beis Shammai holds like Rab Meir. That Beis Shammai holds you go after the very first thing that this person said. Hilkach. Therefore, kivan de'b'dechilas devarav. Since the first thing that this person said, that's what we go after. Dahainu kulchem asurin. His intention was to aser everyone. Of course, he didn't know his father was there. Harihin kimo she'amrim b'tchila. It's as though he said it originally. Afal pi b'gemar devarav. Even though at the end, shemer chutz min abba. Afterwards, he did explain. No, of course, I didn't want my father included in this equation. Meshavi tais b'devarav harishayim. Lo kapdinin b'hach. We don't care about his second words. The ikr dibur shel adam hu tchilos devarav. The main part of a person's speech is his first speech. Skipping a line. Ein chayshish shema lamad di'omer b'sayf klal. We're not concerned what he said afterwards. Dahainu timuras shlomim. We don't care that he said timuras shlomim. We say timuras oil. We go after the first thing. So achanami shav sh'devarav hacharon. Even though the last thing he said dahainu chutz min abba. So even though he's excluding the father. Kayim lafi she'enu sois devar varishain el mavayir. All he's doing is explaining. Mikol makim kiban desvirlan debesaisrin zed taifin lashon rishain. So in the situation where there is a contradiction between an ol and a shlomim, we go after your first words. So too b'she'en saisrin gam kinois and ikr metchilos diburai. So too when things don't necessarily contradict each other, just come to explain, we also go after the first words. We don't care the second words. Kivan she'techilos diburai. Since the beginning of his speech, maskim ima she'omer b'tchilos haneder miskayim legabe hacherim. So we say it does work regarding others. We don't say this concept that once we matter the father, everyone else is mutter too. Because the father is really was never part of the neder. When you have words that are contradictory to one another, Zeh hoichin acher gemar devarav, which is a shlomim. V'achanamik shein saisun, when things don't contradict each other, sheish lasos ikar begemar devarav, we go out to the second words, the hainu mashi omer chutz min abba. The fact that he said, excluding father. V'nimsa sheish ben neder tois. Therefore, the neder was really a mistake, the first neder. So since the second words of chutz ma'aba shows that it was a mistake in his first statement, therefore we say, since it was a tais be'ikr haneder, therefore it gets thrown out. However, according to Beis Shammai, he says, no, we don't care about what his second words are, and therefore it's not going to be thrown out. Okay. So he asked a question according to Rabbi, the Svara, so what is this case that we saw in the previous daf that Rabbi Kiva holds that, again, when it comes to Shabbos and Yom Tov, so once there's a Pesach for that, everything else is also removed. I'm not going to get hana from all of you. That once you're mutter to one of them, then you're going to be mutter to everyone else. So if you look in Rashi, the Zehu Kabeis Hillel, back in the Gemara, that I'm not going to get hana to this one or this one. Okay, so that's the ratio. The Seifa, it says, and we mocked the last one, ha'acharon mutter, so then the last one's mutter, v'kulan asurin. Now, Bishlam Rabba moikim la reisha. So again, there's a machlokes Rabba and Rabba. So Rabba makes a distinction and a machlokes in the case of ploni usurin. That there's a machlokes there. Rabba holds that they do not argue in that case. So I can understand according to the first sheet of Rabba, who says that the reisha, where you do say split up, so you can make a distinction that sometimes we do say hutter miksasa hutter kul and sometimes we don't. According to Rava, which is why he says the Reisha says that hutter kul. However, the question is, we continue Chaf Abba Beis, El Seifa Diarmel Zel Zeh Rabbi Kivahi. You said that everyone holds its mutter. Says the Ran. The middle case. First you said everyone. So now you have contradictory statements. So in this situation, the Chikatani back in the Ran, Rabbi Kivahi. So Bitmia, B'mishana, I feel Rabbanan Moedev, even they agree. You can't say the Chi Hechadol Rabba Trey Babi Kamoy B'Mishnah or Rabba Nami Trey Babi Kamoy B'Maimid. We're talking about two different cases. El the Reisha Kishaymer B'Tchila B'Sleif Kulchem, U'Mitziasa Kishaymer B'Tchila B'Sleif Zevazeh. The Lake of Memrahachi, the Bishlam or Rabbi can understand him. Tirvayu Sri Hashminan. Both are coming to tell you something. The Bain Mechlal Prat. It's still a change. El Rava the Lesley Ukma El B'Maimid Tardi B'Mamid Lumali El Avadi Reisha B'Mamid B'Mitziasa B'Mishana. The first one is he stuck to his words. The second one is he deviated. Yivon Shekain Kasha Mitziasa the Hechi Kamer B'Kivahi V'Lo Rabbanan. So how could it be like Rabbi Kiva, not the Rabbanan? Okay, so Amalei Rabba back in the Gemara. Amalei Rabba Ula Rabba Rabbi Kiva Minicha. Is he better? After all, Seifa b'may mokama. How are we establishing the Seifa? Yarmul kulchem. So hey din hu rishain v'hei din hu acharain. Which is the first? Which one is the last? El reisha yarmul kulchem v'seifa. So what is the case of the Seifa that can fit into mine? Kegoin shiton zebazeh. That it's dependent one on the other. V'yomer ploni kiploini uploini kiploini. I say he is like him and he is like him. So I'm linking and I'm connecting one to the next. So in that situation, says Rashi, katani hutter harishain hutter kulan. That's why I said that the first one is mutter. They're all mutter also. Shekul tuyin by, because I connected one to the next. Hutter hacharoin. But if you matter the last one, hacharon mutter kulan asurin. Shar harishan v'emsoy lo nitl b'acharon. The first guy was not attached to the first person is not attached to the last one. The last one's attached to the first one. So therefore, because of that, if you matter the last one, that doesn't have any effect on the people before you. Says Rashi, therefore, that's why we're not going to say hutter miksasa hutter kulon, because you link the two. If you matter the middle, so we see beferish clear that it's talking about a situation of you're totally one to the other. Okay, let's see question TA1. Kainim she'enin hena lazeh lazeh hutar rishon hutar kulon. So once one's mutter, everyone else is mutter. My duel maskana. We said Iri shetolan zebazev. Yom ploni kiploni ploni kiploni. And since you said it in this particular way, that's the reason why once the first one is mutter, so then everyone else is mutter also, because they're all connected to one another. However, the other way around, no. That when the achara, if the last one is mutter, that doesn't affect the other ones. Okay. Esve Rav Adaba Rava or Rava. So you ask the question. According to Rava again, Kainim batzel. Person makes a neder regarding an onion. Shani toyim. I'm going to eat. Shabatzel ra lelev. And the reason I don't want to eat this onion is because onions are so bad. They're horrible to your heart. That's why I'm not going to ever eat these onions. Omrulos, they told him, what are you talking about? Belo bekufri yafalev. This big ripe onion is actually good for your heart. So I'm not sure where you get your facts are, or this particular location, even though maybe it's true that onions are not good, but maybe you shouldn't have had in mind all onions. Maybe you didn't have in mind all onions, because there are certain onions which are good, which perhaps is comparable to the situation of some of these people who are eating these figs should not be included, namely your parents. So what do we say? So Yafalev, so Hutter Bekufri, Vlo Bekufri Bolvad Hutter. Once he says this, not only are those onions mutter, Ella Kolabitzolim, all the onions, l'chayr, it's because of this concept of Hutter Miksasa Hutter Kulam. So Masa Haya, and there was a story, Vatiru Reb Meir Bechol Habatzolim, and he actually mocked all the onions. My love, the Omer Ilu Hayisiyodeh, must be that this is the case. He says like this is a Pesach. Had I known Shak Kufri Yafal Alev, if I knew that these particular onions were good, Hayisi Omer Kol Batzolim Asurin, the Kufri Mutter, I would have said all of these onions are aser and these onions are mutter. And by doing that, we say that we still say Hut Miksasa Hutter Kula. So if you look in Rashi, it says Vakasha Bein Lo Rabba Bein Lo Rabba. It's a question on Rabba and Rabba. The Ilu Lo Rabba, says Rashi. According to Rabba, Bekulchem Lo Plegi. When it comes to you saying the language of Kulchem, then no one argues. The Aser. Vahacha Kashari Rameir. Here he matters. Heichad Yamar Bekulchem. Well, Rabba Kasha Yamar Bekulchem Plegi. He says that they argue the Beishami de Asri Sevel Rameir. So he says like this, low. But this is what was said regarding the case of the onions. But if I knew that these types of onions were good for thy heart, I would have said, just like again this case of ploni asurin v'abba mutter, I would have said that these onions are also to me kufri mutter. So Rameir alibud Rabbi Kiva ve'alibud Rabbanan. So again, according to this interpretation, so we're going to matter it. Rameir will matter it, and the reason is because we said that Rameir alibud Rabbi Kiva alibud Rabbanan kashari kolimer alibud the dibri hakol to dibri hakol mutter. In this situation, everyone would hold its mutter. Fine. We'll stop there. Let's look at the Ran. Well, Rabba Reisha Zel Zebdi Rakol Kalim B'Mishnah V'Sefer Kulchem Rabbanim Kalim B'Maimed. No Indian halacha. Kaimulan Kribi Kiva Aliba de Beis Hillel. We hold like Kribi Kiva, like Great Beis Hillel. The Neder Shehuter Miksasa Huter Kulo. That we hold of this concept. Skipping a line. The Bahasra. I put the Rabbi to Rabba. Kivan de Ikal Amember de Hilchas Karaba Mishum de Havi Rabia. The Rava, the equal member, the Hilchas Karava. Maybe sometimes we hold like Rabba, sometimes we hold like Rava. Mishum Dibisrahu Naktinan karaba l'chumra. Sometimes we go after Rabba l'chumra. V'maimid kulhain asurin. So we say like this. B'maimid kulhain asurin. If let's say you stick to your original statement, therefore there's the original neder is good, so then everyone holds that it will aser. V'aviv mutter. So we do not say hutam miksasa hatakulo in the situation where you're maimed, where you again didn't deviate. Uba Mishnah ben beprat l'klal ben prat l'klal prat kul mutarin b'chein psak haramban. Let's look at question 11. Neder shehutam miksaso k'goyin yermo kulchem asurin. Everyone is aser. Benimsa avi b'neim. And it turns out your father is among them. Madin b'maimed devarav. If you stuck to your words. Mahadin b'mishad devarav. You changed your words. So b'maimed devarav. If you stuck to your original neder kul masurin v'avim mutter. Because since you didn't deviate from the neder, which means that there was not actually a tois, but ikra haneder, it was just that you changed, or maybe you explained what you were saying. So in that situation, we do not say hutam miksasa hutar. Rather, the father is mutter, but everyone else is aser. However, in the situation where you're mishana devarav, that once you changed your language, then in that situation, kulan asur, and then everyone holds kulan mutarin, it should say. Everyone would hold then in that situation that kul mutarin, because we will say hutam miksaso hutar kulo. Okay, let's see. Maybe TB2. Let's see. Neder shehutar miksaso kagoin di'amar kulchem asur v'nimsa aviv b'nehem mandim b'mayim devarav mahadim b'mishad devarav mechlal prat meprat klal, etc. So same question. Let's see what I wrote. I wrote in English. When you are ma'imid devarav, the din is they are all aser, but your father is mutter. When you are mishana devarav, we apply the din of neder shehutar miksasa hutar kulo, so they are all mutter. Adkan.